Okay, this is the Battle of White Plains from GMT Games. Not actually started yet. We've just finished reading through the special scenario rules. They're typical for this game system. There are a lot of special rules that apply, that override or existing rules in the series rule book, or actually just add additional rules to them. Now, a lot of these, fair enough, but I think some of them are pretty much chrome, to be quite honest. In a game of this simplicity, I don't honestly think they add much to it. But I'm going to apply them all. I'm also going to use the cards, which, if you ever seen my playthrough of campaigns of Napoleon from OSG, you'll know I don't like cards very much, but I've decided to go with the cards because they don't seem to be ridiculously onerous, but we shall see. Other things that have had to be marked, there's the victory point hexes, which I put the three blue ones are the American ones. There's one up there under those counters, and the British have a victory point hex over here, which they control at the start of the game. There's special rules for all of those. We've got the American advance guards. They've all got a +2 movement chit to their first movement turn of the game. As soon as they move, whether they take the +2 or not, those chits are got rid of. There's a specialist militia unit here, which I marked as upside down. That needs special rules for it to be able to actually move. There's what else have we done? Oh, we've used the Ruse de Guerre system, and I've actually put the Ruse de Guerre markers on the board under particular counters in the American defense lines. There's one in the rear line and 3 in the front line. I'm working on the basis that I'll have forgotten by where I placed them by the time I actually get the British to attack those hexes. I'm just looking at this unit here. Yeah, it's correct that Massachusetts units should be there. Normally the units on Cheddarton Hill actually come in as reinforcements, but these two were actually on the board right at the start, which is interesting. What other things have we come up with while we were messing around with this, looking at the setup? Yeah, there's quite a few specialist units. We had to take General Washington. You have to roll the dice to see his command. There's 2 counters for him. There's a good one where he's got a +1 in the left figure, just for a tactical die roll, and there's the bad one where he's got a 0 for that, and I ended up with the worst version of George Washington. Okay. There were some specialist units in the game. Just a second. I'm trying to find it. There's certain units that were marked with a they didn't have an actual setup hex. They had like 4 asterisks instead. I'm just trying to find them now. Yeah, there's one here, for example, Wadsworth. Okay, the special rules for setting up those 3 American units. Okay, I think other things we did. The special rules for which leaders can lead which types of troops. That's pretty standard for this system. It's something you need to keep an eye on. Certain commanders, but like some of the German commanders couldn't command British troops. That's not because they didn't have the rank and the seniority, it's because they didn't have a command of the English language. Retreat priorities, again the retreat priorities are marked on the board over here. Just remember, north is to the left on this particular battlefield. That's pretty standard for the system as well. It doesn't always have the maps aligned to the north. In fact, it usually doesn't. Just trying to think what else. We've got these opportunity units. They come on based on cards. Now, if the British capture Tarrytown, which is an important strategic hex here, they can actually move their supply base to the south, so they can retreat to the south instead of, well, I say retreating to the south, I said they can retreat to Tarrytown instead. Yeah, there's some American reinforcements which don't always come on in the same way. We'll discuss the Cheddartown reinforcements, but there's a variable reinforcement up there that can come on any turn up to turn 7. The Americans have also got sortie rules. Now this is pretty typical of this system again, that certain units are pinned until enemy activity takes place near them, or a certain time or a certain die roll has to be achieved to move them. So the only American units that can move at the start of the game are the ones with the movement in the parenthesis, like this one there. It's got 4 movement and it's inside parenthesis, so they can move at the start of the game, whereas units like this can't move. Rules for rain, because there's certain times of the day on the I remember when I talked about this battle before, I said it was over 3 days. It isn't, it's over 4 days. That was just me seeing those 3 lines of turn boxes and just assuming that that was 3 days. It isn't, it's 4 days in total. There's some cards you can get for ending the game early. They're from the 3rd deck. I've removed those because you're allowed to do that as an option. So that means that the game will continue to the last turn instead of potentially ending up to 9 turns earlier. There's quite a lot of rules on how the opportunity cards work. I'm working on the basis that the decks come into play at certain points, and when a deck comes into play you get 2 draws, and then any others you follow through these methods. There are 6 methods of actually gaining more cards. Oh yeah, when a deck comes in, it doesn't replace the previous deck. So if you've got deck 1 in play and deck 2 comes along, there's a cat here, you'll get you combine the 2 decks 1 and 2 together. Some cards, when they're played, they go back into the deck. Others are one shot, you can't use them again. We've got the ability, discuss Tarrytown. There's a lot of rules over Tarrytown because it's an important strategic position which isn't actually on the battlefield. The Americans have the ability to burn certain terrain once per game to hold up the British. Just discussed screening force movements. Americans are able to build field works. They have an engineer unit, if I can find it. I don't know where it is. I'll have to locate that. It's around here somewhere, but that unit is able to actually construct more field works, because there's a lot of field works on the game. If you see these hexes where you've got these brown lines like here, This cat is getting on my nerves. They're all field work positions, so they give you a defensive bonus. There are, as I've discussed, some specialist units. There's these guys with these Amuskets, which are quite a weird unit. It has quite a lot of rules, specialist rules for it. Page and a half. I've got other units that come in, opportunity units. There's some Indians available. Titan Garrison can't move. There's Putnam's engineers, the ones who can build fieldworks, but as I say, I need to find them. They're on the board somewhere. Got special rules for the British militia, cavalry, and there's an Indian unit as well that has weird rules associated with it. So right, we're pretty much ready to start the game. As you can see, it can be a bit fiddly with all these extra chrome rules on top, which are all they're all like compulsory rules. They're not optional rules. There are no optional rules that come with this. There are more than one scenario. I'm playing the full campaign scenario, but there's a little scenario that covers the main British historical assault on Chadderton, and there's one that does the hypothetical British grand assault to clear the American army and just wipe it out. Now there's a special sortie line here that when the British move north of that sortie line, that will actually free the American army to manoeuvre. As I've said, otherwise it can be based from turn 10 onwards on a dice throw, or whether British units come into contact with you. Well, I'm just looking at a few of these other things. Yeah, as I said, militia. There's quite a lot of militia, and they've got their own rules. There's about a page, almost a page of rules for militia, American militia as well. American units have certain tactical rules as well. They don't have to advance if it meant advancing out of a breastwork, since there's no compulsory advance for them. The British have got some special artillery here, heavy naval artillery, which is obviously not as good as a regular field artillery unit. Okay, I'm not going to discuss anything else. I think that pretty much covers everything in terms of specialist rules. So this has been quite a long video.